All right, guys, guess what? Today is a super special unboxing because besides a bunch of wonderful watches, we also got our F1 car. All right. First of all, Marco's back. Second of all, love the outfit and how are your eyes?
My outfit's always good, but I appreciate you noticing today.
Yes, how are the eyes?
Eyes are great. I got LASIK yesterday and I actually see things a lot more clearly.
First of all, I got a couple of gifts that I want to get through that some people sent me. I want to give a shout out to Watch the Doesn't it feel good purchasing a limited product without waiting on lists for ages? Yes. And what I love about this is that this paper, if you put it in a pot and put some water on it, it will actually grow plants. I got a pair of swimming trunks.
Do they fit you? What size is that?
Thank you guys. You never actually own any watch, you merely wait in the list for the next generation. What's the This is great. It's a t-shirt. Look at that. Another t-shirt. Watch the F. I have more toys than your kids. This is awesome. Guys, thank you so much. Nina, tag them. Next, I got a letter I read earlier because this is a long letter, as you can say. But this is from Joe Gross, who does products with his hands, and he's made some products out of wood for me. Made us some coasters out of wood.
Let's see.
These are absolutely awesome. There's also some bullets in here. Oh, these are cigar punches.
Punches.
So this is a cigar punch. And then he also made them like so. It's actually really cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put one of these on my keychains. Again, thank you so much for sending this stuff. This actually means a lot considering the fact that this is all handmade. One more gift. I don't know what this is. I'm gonna guess it's a tennis racket.
Oh, it's a watch head.
Oh, this is the guy. This guy reached out to me on Instagram. Watch head. No, hold on a second. This is from Stefano. It's from Stefano. So Stefano Della Costa out in Canada designed a Roman Sharf watch head, and I love it.
I gotta give a shout out. So the artist who did this, his name is Design Atelier. Super work. Yeah, Jason is awesome guy. Is awesome.
So Jason did this because I know Stefano gifted this to me because he was talking to me about it earlier. And this is supposed to represent me, and I think it does so pretty well. Got the sneakers, got the Audemars Piguet head.
The head is not big enough.
Shout out to Jason, Design Atelier. I guess we can tag him as well. Shout out to Stefano for hooking this up. This is really cool, actually. Let's unbox some watches. I'm going to start with a few simple ones, and then Marco's got some special things to say. Adrian, what are your thoughts on the IWC Big Pilot? I would like to say the fact that I think these are the most undervalued watches out there.
You said it, took it right out of my mouth. I'll end that there.
That's it? That's all you
have
to
I think
say?
the white gold one with the blue dial, probably a watch.
Well, you're talking about the Portuguese. I'm talking about the pilots.
Well, Portuguese, any IWC Perpetual.
Yeah. But this is the Top Gun limited edition IWC Big Pilot. Big watch on the hand.
It's big watch for the money is what it is.
And it is a big watch for the money. You were talking about picking this watch up around 20 grand for a full-blown perpetual calendar.
And also, we're talking like around the 25,000 price point. I think JLC, IWC, two best values perpetual calendar.
Does this say how many pieces are made in there?
I think it's 250, 1 out of 250.
1 out of 250.
You really might have to get LASIK yourself.
Well, I'm waiting to see how you turn out. Here's an oldie but a goodie, which is an old Audemars Piguet Quantine Perpetual. Talk about value. It's a little bang for your dollar, and the reason I say little bang for your dollar because the watch is little. I mean,
and shout out to all the fans of the movement. That movement is sick. All hand engraved on the side of it. I mean, you got to show that off. That is, we're talking fine watchmaking mixed with like the finest of hand engraved artwork. I mean, this is just crazy, beautiful.
I see a lot of these new vintage pieces actually from AP coming back for the likes of Kevin Hart. I see him wearing a lot of the Star Wheels, a lot of these old perpetuals. If you catch him on his Instagram posts like this.
Can we sell him our Star Wheel? I know there's an Adrian watching here, and I think this is one of Adrian's Grails, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let him do the honors.
I mean, look, again, I've said this.
The one that got away.
I've said this many times before. The Royal Oak silhouette to me is the most aesthetically pleasing watch, in my opinion, over Nautilus, over its other competitors, and obviously in rose gold makes enough to be said right now. And in skeleton, I just think this is probably the best looking watch that's ever been made. No, it doesn't have a tourbillon. No, it doesn't have a perpetual calendar, minute repeater, or any crazy complications. It is a double balance.
But a double balance is...
Yeah, so the actual story behind this is crazy too. So AP gives free reign to their watchmakers to do whatever they want, right, with their watches. And Francois, the CEO of AP, the current CEO, saw this on one of his watchmakers' wrists, was like, what is this, the original 15307? And then they actually updated it with the double balance because the accuracy was like quadruple. So, I mean, it just goes to show, like, AP is not just about the Royal Oak. They're really also about innovating their watchmaking.
I think I just like it more and more. And since the price tag of it has, you know, been north of 300,000, it made me like it even more.
Yeah.
But
would you go with that or the original 39 millimeter?
in rose gold, yeah, absolutely this.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of...
Even though I'm a 39 fan, in rose gold, this one.
So even speaking of Audemars Piguet, you guys remember a while back we unboxed an Yves Klein Perpetual and a chronograph. We have since sold the chronograph, and I didn't think I was going to see another one for quite some time, but voila. Shout out to our buying team, Adrian and Marco, for picking up another Yves Klein chronograph in 39 millimeter.
This one is actually much better condition than the previous, just as point that out.
And also, can I just say, that blue is just sensational. That electric blue is just incredible. Oh.
Here we have a Rolex.
Rolex.
Old school sub. Where are these trading?
14060 pre-ceramic.
Where are these trading?
Is
at
it
right
two-liner?
These are trading. Listen, you can still pick up one of these in decent condition under $10,000-$11,000. You know, pending box and papers.
Can I just say, these two-liner subs, I think, so if you look at
Well,
it.
tell people what the two-liner sub is.
Yeah, so it's just two lines of text at the bottom of the dial. I think it's probably the best expression of what a Note 8 sub should be. It's just simple, clean, very classic, uncluttered dial, time only, super amazing symmetry. I love it.
Girls watch or boys watch?
Unisex.
Unisex, yeah.
Definitely unisex. This is the 30, how many millimeters?
Well, let me ask you a question. Boy or girls watch? Boy or girl watch?
Boy.
Right.
Yeah, it's a bit big. 41 millimeter.
The 39 millimeter,
When I was
yeah.
in Dubai, I saw two women wearing this years ago, and I'm like, what the hell? And they were also wearing 5980s.
Wow.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Cartier, Tank Bouchelat.
Basculin.
See, that's why it's good to have somebody who speaks French. Tank Basculin.
I think you pull out from the top, yeah.
So this thing pulls up.
And becomes a desk clock
lights
or a
up,
night clock.
and mechanism of opening and closing is nowhere near the amount of parts of that of the reverso.
Yeah.
Original reverso outside of the movement, I believe, had 17 parts to the movement of the case, and then the later improvement was like 20 some parts.
Crazy.
This has.
Does it have a guilloche dial?
I can't see. You forgot. I'm not the one
Yeah,
that
it
got
does.
music. I see a Booker box
Hooker?
that has a Rolex in it.
Nice.
And 6753 root beer. Classic. Timeless.
Not the nipple dial.
Not the nipple dial.
But look at that dial. That dial is just a beautiful.
Now this is a dial that's going to color over age as well. As it colors, it will change hues, and it won't color evenly too, which is what makes these, near-vintage.
Let's talk about for the age of the watch. Look at the flex in that band. Super tight and sturdy. So that's a big plus if you're a collector and you actually want to wear it.
I swear to God, I feel like we get one of these every 3 days. The top offshore. Again, this is the most popular selling offshore from the new lineup.
It's beautiful.
Yes, by far. Why is that, do you think?
I think it's the color combination.
Well, this is the only offshore in that size range that's unique. You know, if you have the one in titanium blue, they make that in a 44. You have the rose gold, they make that. Any other stainless steel with a ceramic bezel formation, they made that for. This is the most unique.
You're right. This is a color that has not been done on an offshore before. You're absolutely right. If you look at the navies, if you look at there's a bunch of variations of them. Again, the easily interchangeable strap. My favorite was when somebody sent one in with one black strap and one of the top straps. It was pretty cool.
Also, can we give a shout out? I love the fact that it has a ceramic bezel. That's one of the problems with the offshores is always the bezel wear over time. With ceramic bezel, you don't have to ever worry about that.
So supposedly ceramic bezel is scratch proof. So I'm still waiting for a client to say, you know what, go ahead, take my watch and scratch it against the payment and see what happens.
Let's just say if it chips, we got problems.
Yeah.
Here's a Roger Dubuis, Anna. This was
What, is it a tourbillon?
it is not a tourbillon.
Sure?
Let's talk about how beautiful
Not
Roger Dubuis watches are. I mean, look at this thing, the front, the back. I mean, everything about this Excalibur is absolutely bonkers. I think what they finally did well with this watch is they toned it down in size.
Yeah.
This is
Way more wearable.
It's a lot more wearable when it comes to size. I've said it for years. Roger Dubuis makes some of the most beautiful watches out there. And for years they've gotten no love because of the closeouts and the whole thing that happened before pre-Richmond Group and all that other good stuff. But I think they're going in the right direction. I think they pulled out.
I've mentioned this many times before. I've never seen a brand completely change, like from where they were. No, I'm not talking about in terms of sales or popularity, in terms of the way, like how their watches used to look versus how they look now.
Yeah.
It's a completely different brand.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, because so Roger Dubuis worked at Patek for decades, right? And his old watches are inspired by a lot of vintage Pateks you'll find in the museum. And now Not at all. I would love to
Now,
see.
that's all car inspired, really.
So one of the most popular genres in watches today is like vintage inspired watch, right? Recreating like old designs. I'd love to see Roger Dubuis do that. Can you imagine they come back with
which one would you recreate?
homage chronograph? Easy.
I would recreate the.
And they own the Le Mans.
I would recreate the perpetual.
They're nice. The retrograde perpetuals are beautiful. Yeah.
There's a Cartier
That's nice.
from Collection Privé that we showed you already, but there's a reason why Marco brought this up.
Yeah.
And the reasons are in these two bags.
Yeah, so let's start, I guess, why it kind of sinks in with the Collection Privé, which is this watch right here, which is a Lange Rochepont perpetual calendar, Rochepont being a split-second chronograph. We just got in actually the monopusher VC, right? And you were talking about how chronographs have become, one of the more popular and underrated complications because, there are just so many out there. But it can't be like said enough just how difficult it is to make a chronograph of this caliber, right? I think it's right up there with minute repeaters as the most difficult. And the story behind this kind of connects to this because the person who helped make this watch is William de Haas, who's the product developer at Lange, and he's actually an alumni of Renault and Papi, along with the person who makes the Collection Privé, which is Carole Forcier, who did the Ulysse Nardin Freak, among a number of
Renault and Papi, how about a wrist check? How about an RM 003?
But yeah, I mean, like it just can't be understated how difficult it is to make a movement of this caliber. I mean, just show this off. Like, look at this, right? Look at the depth of that, look at the finishing of that, how many parts, little springs. I mean, it's just absolutely insane. So yeah, it really can't be understated just how difficult it is to make a watch of this level.
People just tend to take, I always said this, people tend to take the chronograph for granted because it's just like out there, every other watch out there is a chronograph, but a properly executed chronograph, let alone a split-second chronograph, it is extremely complicated to execute and execute it well.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it also does a job, right? It has to time things, right?
Right, and they have to do it accurately as well, right? Like Lange is not going to make a product that doesn't, it doesn't keep time well. So you have to regulate it, you have to make sure the functions work, and Lange will assemble, disassemble their movements multiple times, right? This is we're talking probably 300-400 components in a movement like this.
I'm pretty sure this watch pushes 500 plus components.
Right, so you can imagine just how much time and how few people can actually work on something of this caliber.
I know, I would scratch up all these screws if I had to do it.
This is the next one, which is one of my favorite watches, one of the best digital display watches, probably the best on the market today, the Zeitwerk.
When we get the Lumens Phantom in, I'm taking it.
Which is, I mean, just a super innovative watch, the way that they achieved the change in the numerals. So they use a very old, if you look at this right here, this anchor system, it has what's called a spring remotoir. Now, I'll actually give, because we're unboxing the F1 car, a car analogy, right? So when you have a car, right, if you were to race two cars, say for example, if one had cold tires, a cold engine versus hot tires, hot engine, which would go, which would win the race?
Hot.
Right, so it's the same kind of idea with watches, right? So when a watch is fully wound, it exudes a lot more power versus minimally wound, which is a lot less. So that'll affect that accuracy, that imbalance in power. And a remotoir averages out the mainspring power delivery over time so that you get a constant force over time. And this dates back to the 1700s, I think, with John Arnold and the marine chronometers. But it was used here to control basically the power of the numeral changes, which is just, I mean, to do that, even just to conceptualize that, is just crazy in and of itself.
Constant escapement, who do you go with when it comes to one watch with constant escapement?
I mean, you gotta go, in my opinion, it's the FP Journe Tourbillon Souverain. You get a remotoir, tourbillon. I mean, it's just, it's absolute masterpiece.
What about the Girard-Perregaux constant escapement, the one they did with the
that's also an excellent one. I mean, there's so many different ones, right? I mean, you can even have chain and fusée. You can go to Breguet for number 2.
DeWitt did that.
DeWitt
did the constant escape with chain fusée tourbillon.
There's a bunch of different ones, right? And these are some of the most difficult to execute complications in the market. And again, it just pays homage to the history of watchmaking, and at the same time, you get a watch that's super innovative and pushes the boundaries of what can be done. So I mean, that's just the best. This is the best.
I know you wanted to bring this back up, and this is the PM203. Now I'm going to talk about this is a watch that didn't come in today. Yeah. I'm going to talk about this from the Panerai standpoint.
2020.
What's that?
2020.
No.
This is the one actually.
Oh, we didn't unbox it?
I don't think we unboxed this actually.
No.
No, this is a different one. But beautiful blue on this. also a Luminor crown guard.
So speaking of this Panerai, so during the time of the Panerai, when Panerai first came out and started doing all these limited editions, and there was a craze, and people dubbed themselves the Paneristi, i.e. people that collect Panerai. There was a whole Paneristi.com, which was still going back before Facebook and Instagrams, and when they had the boards, right? And Paneristis were diehard collectors that this is at the time where pretty much every Panerai was going over list. And I am going to unpack this plastic because I know you're going to want to talk about the back of this watch. So
yeah, for sure.
This watch at one time, people were asking $250,000 for.
Which is
oddly
crazy.
enough, who is the man that put this watch on the map? Anyone?
Arnold, or what's his name? Sylvester Stallone.
Wrong.
John Mayer.
Sylvester Stallone, thank you.
Yeah.
John Mayer was the one that purchased this watch. And he.
Shout out John Mayer. Yo, there's a few watches in our safe that I just want to send to John Mayer so we can amplify.
So John Mayer has been known to amplify some watches, right? But you're right, Sylvester Stallone did put the brand on the map. If I had to give it to one person, it would be Sylvester Stallone. Movie Daylight would probably be the one that comes to mind, the PAM 186 Black Dial. The PAM 203 was the ultimate watch for a Paneristi. There was not a single watch out there that any Paneristi out there would rather have more, except they traded for a ridiculous amount of money. And I'll let Marco talk about the angles.
Yeah, so for example, this watch is what's known as a Luminor. So originally when they took the contract for the Italian Navy, I believe in 1937, they did a Radimir, right? So that's the original watch, the wire lug Radimir. This replaced it in 1949, I think, 1949, 1950, something like that,
right?
It
was postal war.
But it being, iconic with the crown guard, which helped to kind of seal off the watch and make it give it extra water resistance. And at the time, this was called the Luminor because it was a patent for a tritium-based loom substance, and has what Panerai calls their sandwich dials, which is pretty famous from Panerai. And the original Radimirs were powered by a Rolex movement third-party Cordobair, and then they later changed to what you have powering this watch, which is an Angelus movement, 8-day power reserve, manual winding. So again, we're talking about the history of watchmaking, right? This is the history of Panerai. This is kind of the movement that powered original Panerai watches that were used, for example, by the Navy or by, in their watches in the 40s and 50s, which is, it doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah. And that's what made this like the ultimate you watch when it came to Panerai collecting. And I know that till this day, Paneristis are going apeshit over this watch, and even till this day, it trades a triple list. So at the time somebody was asking $250,000 for this watch was at the very, very peak of Panerai being probably one of the hottest brands on the market. If you want to talk about sub 100,000, sub 50,000, and people were willing to do anything for that particular watch.
Yeah.
Super iconic.
And by the way, this is like 47 millimeters, and Panerai is meant to wear oversized. I have a small wrist, 6 1/4, and it still looks like, in my opinion, very much very wearable. And just a fantastic
Well, let's
watch.
put that next to the Richard Mille 03. You guys can get an idea.
How's that for a flex? Look at that. Whew.
Anyway, guys,
Beautiful.
so that's for the unboxing. What are we doing? We're going outside?
Let's go outside.
Let's go outside because today is the day. Follow me. So here it is. First of all, quick shout out to the artist that painted the car. That's Jizbar. I like pop art, I like street art. He had a perfect combination of both, but not only that, it's not just a pretty picture, it encapsulates Ayrton Senna, because this is a tribute to Ayrton Senna, arguably one of the greatest F1 drivers out there that unfortunately is no longer with us. And he did a wonderful job in splitting the car in half, where he has the original racing livery in the back. It was. Oh, Jizbar is on. Jizbar, how are you? Sorry it didn't work out last time. Last time we did a live, Nina's phone crapped out, but I'm gonna let you talk about this better than me because you are the guy that painted this car. So, take it away.
The idea of the car is to separate the car in two. You have all the sponsor of the carrier of Ayrton Senna in one side, and on the other side, they let me, we say carte blanche, so I can do what I want. We want a totally crazy, unique, and an homage to this legend. Put like words, quotes that he say, trophy that he win, and a mix, I just say, between pop art and street art.
And I never thought that the two could come together in the way that it came together with this car. Not only did I get a piece of F1 memorabilia, but I also got a work of art. And this indeed is a work of art. The job you did is absolutely wonderful. I am going to cherish this for a very, very long time, and I can't wait to see it hanging on our wall for everyone else to see. Thank you so much for logging on our live. Thank you again. Thank you all of you for tuning in on this special live, special unboxing. And just wow, just wow. We'll see you guys soon. YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, share, click the bell, do all those wonderful things that help our YouTube channel grow, and we'll see you on the next one.